To Ibis Weather. This is Sarah with Sunday evenings, August 17th, 2025 updates. Of course, the main topic of tonight will obviously be Hurricane Erin, and we will go over that. But I also want to touch on the two other areas of interest that we currently seen that the National Hurricane Center has uh, marked as areas of interest. Neither have been declared an invest yet. As a reminder, invest basically means is an area that they find worth investigating that they do believe will definitely become either a tropical depression, tropical storm, or a hurricane at any time. So let's go ahead and get started with the other two areas of interest. So the first one is obviously the one off Carolina coast. Uh, Talking about recent satellite derived wind indicates an elongated area of low. Um, with surface winds of less than 20 miles per hour. Does not have a lot of convection and shower, which is a good thing. Still has it labeled for 10%, both for 48 hours and 7 days, which is considered low for any chance to develop. And as you can see, it's a relatively small area. Then, of course, there's Erin, who is passing to the north of the Virgin Islands, and well, she already passed, I should say, over Hispaniola currently, and getting closer to the Turks and Caicos and Southeast Bahamas. And then, as you can see, we do have the other area of interest that will probably become the next storm. They have that located here. Say it's a tropical wave, obviously located near the Cabo Verde Islands. It's currently producing disorganized showers and thunderstorms, much like how Erin got started. And they do expect some gradual development as she or he, whatever. I'm not sure what the name is currently on the list, so we'll have to look at that later on. But what it will develop as it continues to move west and northwest in the next days, 7 days or so, where it will become more of a conductive area for it to form. For 48 hours, they have near 0% chance of development and a low 30% chance right now. We'll probably see that increase going forward. Um, in the next coming days. So let's go ahead and look over here. As you know, I like to show you guys the winds. I find it quite interesting. So kind of give you guys a little bit of what we're looking at. Obviously, this is you have lower 48 United States and Mexico and Atlantic Canada. You'll see over here is technically that low. That is off the coast of the Carolinas. This is at surface level, so it does have some spin to it, but as you can see, it's not super tight or strong. And I'm sure if we looked at other levels of the atmosphere, we'll see very different intensities of that, if any more of it swirling. And then, of course, here is Hurricane Erin. She is a powerful storm, as you can see over here, very tight circulation, as you'd expect, and just looking like what a typical hurricane would show up on this. And then the area of interest that we will be following after Erin is over here. So you can see there is definitely some starting of different wind directions blowing. As you can kind of see, it's trying to start a swirl over here. So we'll have to wait and see what happens as it moves forward. Okay, so let's get to the topic of Erin. So this is what she currently looks like right now on a satellite. She is still moving west, but she's definitely got more of a northern component to her, which is good news, for sure for, uh, Hispaniola and even necessarily to Southeast Bahamas and the Turks and Caicos, which both of them are currently right now in a tropical storm warning, not a watch. They were previously in watches. This morning, Turks and Caicos was upgraded, and this afternoon, the Southeast Bahamas was upgraded. I should not go anywhere near them, but they can't rule out, obviously, tropical storm force winds. And as you can see, she has grown, and she's expected to continue to physically grow, meaning her wind field and her rain shields and rain bands will grow further out and wider. So obviously, they can expect rain. You can see over there, both Haiti and Dominican Republic are still experiencing, along with Puerto Rico and the Northern Lesser Antilles and the Virgin Islands as well. Okay, so about Hurricane Erin, let's go ahead and look at the cone. Definitely some good news that people might say. As you can see, so you can definitely notice over the days, if you actually look at some of our my past videos, we definitely have seen the wind field grow. So the yellow or orange, I should say, depending on what you see, is where the how far out the tropical storm force winds, sustained winds are. And then the dark orange or red in the center is how far out the hurricane force winds are from the center for both of them. And she's going to grow. She's already gotten to be a relatively large storm, and she will continue to grow to become even larger in the next coming days. So that is worth noting, especially for Bermuda, and also can't rule out for the Cape Hatteras area as well. Unfortunately, as you know, they are more in the part of the country that sticks out. While they don't think the eye will go anywhere near either of them, as she grows, doubles, and even possibly triples in size, does not mean that they can't have a close call with some of those outer bands that could stray from the storm. And also depends on when that turn is made and how close to the US or how close to Bermuda that will be. There still is some concern a little bit there. Can't rule out that she may continue to deviate. We do, like I said, see currently a more northern component of her movement, which is a good thing and a welcome sight for many. They do wobble hurricanes. It is a scientific fact. And that's something we can't rule out that she can't just, wobble more this way. And unfortunately, those wobbles do matter. A good example of this would be for the Savannah region during Hurricane Matthew. He definitely wobbled a little bit where his eye wall was actually clipping on some Tybee Island and city of Savannah. Um, it definitely happens. You know, they can wobble. Technically, a wobble is what made Charlie turn more north and northeast before it made landfall. So these things do matter, and this is why they do what they call the wobble watch. Some people do take that when they see it wobble one way and not, compared to what is normal, and people start freaking out. Again, I'm not here to cause hyper concern. I'm just here to report the facts as well as some opinion thrown in, as well as just letting you guys know what is possible. So right now, things are looking good for land. Obviously, can't rule out all land impacts. Um, Unfortunately, I mean, she is a large storm and she's going to continue to get larger. So the rain bands and rain shield and wind field will grow. So can't rule it out. And that's also why the National Hurricane Center is making sure to let people know you need to be aware of rip currents, unfortunately, and high waves off on the beaches for the entire East Coast and probably also Canada's Atlantic area as well, and of course Bermuda and the Bahamas and Turks and Caicos as well. So that's definitely the case. So as you can see here, she is currently moving at west northwest at 13 miles per hour. I want to say in the last few hours we have seen a little bit more of a northern component to her movement. If we go back and look over here, you'll definitely kind of see it. Now she doesn't seem to have really a well-defined eye at the moment, which isn't unusual. These storms do go under eye wall replacements. Which means the eye has not cleared out. The eye is there, it's just not cleared out at the moment. We'll see, how long it takes. Her structure has gone through some challenges and changes, which you can see here. Like she's not, looking like your tight, neat little hurricane. She's gotten to be kind of a sloppy, large monster, which is expected. I mean, we were told to expect that, but she's definitely holding true to that right now. And then right now, her current winds at 5 p.m. as well is still 125 miles per hour with sustained winds. So that's not counting wind gusts, which can go over that. She is still a Category 3, which does make her a major hurricane. And they did say that they do think she will actually strengthen again in the next few days. So could see a cat 4, maybe a cat 5. Can't rule that out. These are very warm waters if the conditions are right. And also with storms this big, they do have a tendency to kind of create their own environment around them, which could enable her to also strengthen to that point. So still a very dangerous and large storm, still worth watching for everywhere, especially as she again doubles or triples in actual size. We can't, this even if you don't have her eye go over her, you can still have incredibly dangerous conditions whether that is just from heavy rain bands or, of course, rip currents and waves. Um, especially if some of those waves come in a little bit during high tide, that could also cause maybe a little bit flooding. I will say that the National Hurricane Center did make it a point to say, again, Cape Hatteras and the OBX area of North Carolina should probably be watching this a little bit closer just because of how the lay of the land is for them and how big of a storm she is. So far, it looks like Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina can probably just expect, nasty waves and, of course, rip currents. And again, it also kind of depends on as she continues to move more to the west and it takes that turn later, more of a north turn later on, she could get closer to the coastlines of America as well. And, if she does turn north more sharp now and faster, that could obviously bring her closer to Bermuda. So again, don't want to say everyone is out of the woods right now. It's looking hopeful since we are talking about her passing the coast line of the east and of course Bermuda by the middle to the end of this week, as you can see on the dates over here. And you can see they still show her being a major hurricane all through Wednesday night until Wednesday afternoon until Thursday afternoon. So, we are talking about there is a small chance that we can't roll out completely right now. Time will tell. Hopefully she will hold true to the track. It's looking hopeful with how narrow the cone is. And of course, things do happen and do change. And this is why you should always stay up to date. Follow a source that you trust. Obviously, I'm here and more than happy to provide updates. Um, but of course, we can't roll things out completely because that'd be foolish of us in case she does decide to pull a Charlie or a Helene or anything else that could happen. So let's go ahead and look at that. Uh, what else? Okay, so this is the discussion post. I always like to read these to kind of see what they're thinking about. I'm not going to go ahead and read through this whole thing. Uh, they do mention the system is moving a little to the right of the track seen earlier today, so that is still true. That trend is still true, unfortunately, but they're not have no significant changes to the track forecasting right now. They still expect her to make that turn and do it tonight into tomorrow morning. So we'll wait and see. Um, they think that it will be a weakness of the subtropical ridge between two subtropical high cells. Um, they say basically to unchanged the track, which is good, welcome news. We'll also look at the models, which kind of hint at that as well. As I mentioned, she did go under eye wall replacement. So when anytime a hurricane goes under an eye wall replacement, it is worth noting that again the eye typically grows bigger. So she does apparently they think will be around 40 miles, nautical miles, her eye will be once it clears out. So that will be, they do think it might shrink a little bit. So that is definitely interesting. That can happen, which of course kind of goes along with her intensifying. They did say they do expect her to actually re intensify going forward as well, which is, a scary thought. Of course, like I said, she is going to be a huge size. As I mentioned, she's growing and will likely continue to grow in the next few days, unfortunately, as well. Um, and right now, bands of heavy rain will continue across portions of Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. They're not getting a break until probably tomorrow, which probably is going to hinder any of their attempts to fix any of the power outages that they have been experiencing. And of course, talking about flash and urban flooding, our landslides and mudslides are unfortunately possible with that. Turks and Caicos and Southeast Bahamas will start having, tropical storm conditions tonight and tomorrow. So they are both currently in a tropical storm warning, not watch warning, meaning in 48 hours or less, they will start experiencing tropical storm conditions. So if you are in either of those places, I do recommend try to make sure you finish this up rather soon. Any of the preparations you need to make ahead of time, they should have been done once the watches were issued last night, this morning, of course. Um, but we know some people are a little bit stragglers, or you have to go out of your way to get something fixed. That's understandable, but make sure that you are ready, hunker down tonight until tomorrow with the weather. And then, of course, what I already mentioned about her size, and of course, North Carolina's Outer Banks and Bermuda should continue to monitor. Okay, and then I wanted to also show what they say is the earliest possible reasonable time of tropical storm force winds. Her winds do expand, unless I read was over 200 miles out, and as she grows, that will grow, and of course, the hurricane force winds will grow as well. So we can expect that as well. But as of right now, tonight, Sunday at 8 p.m., that is when the Turks and Caicos Bahamas can experience that also throughout tomorrow into Tuesday morning. Uh, as you can see, they do show the Outer Banks of North Carolina and Bermuda starting to possibly feel that from Tuesday night to throughout Wednesday as the earliest possible time. And then, as you can see, it being very close to the coastline of um, Canada's Atlantic side as well. And then tropical storm force wind speed probabilities. This is preliminary. So the purple is obviously where they are pretty much 90% to 100% sure that they will be that. As you can see right now, the Outer Banks of North Carolina from mid to the north are definitely in the greens, which gives it anywhere from 5 to 10% chance of wind. And then the rest of it's kind of just hugging the coastlines, what pretty close to Mid Atlantic, and then definitely closer to the Canadian Atlantic. And of course, Bermuda is also in the green as well, giving them a chance of actually 10 to 20%. So that's the probabilities at the moment for tropical storm force winds. For those of us who are a little bit more nerdy like I am, I wanted to kind of show you guys how they're tracking the wind from advisories 1 through the 26th, kind of again showing. So any of the orange is obviously tropical storm with hurricane force winds in the deep red, kind of maroon. So you can definitely see how close the tropical storm force winds got to the northern Lesser Antilles and the Virgin Islands, as well as Puerto Rico. And you can definitely kind of see more of the northerly turn that she has started to make going forward as well. Then for her rainfall forecast, so again, you can see Puerto Rico definitely got quite a bit of rain. A lot of them got 2 to 4 inches, with a little bit getting 1 to 2. And of course, that is true for Northern Dominican Republic in the very northeast edge of Haiti, and then the southern edge of Haiti and Dominican Republic as well, getting anywhere between 1 to 2 to 4 inches. And then you can see that's also going to be the case for the Turks and Caicos and Southeast Bahamas as well. And then, of course, key messages, as I like to mention and show everyone. Again, as I mentioned earlier, we kind of already went through that, so I won't go over that again. But again, as a reminder, interest in the Outer Banks of North Carolina and Bermuda should continue to monitor with the risk of strong winds associated with the outer rain bands throughout the middle of this week. Let's talk about, obviously, the spaghetti pop. So this is the Euro one. So we do definitely see a better consensus with it making that north turn. Some of them are a little bit more again outlined a little bit west. Some of them are showing her going over the eye, possibly going over um, the Canadian Atlantic as well. But we'll wait and see. But most of them are in good consensus that she will probably stay her eye, at the very least. She will stay off land for the most part, which is an incredibly important feat for everyone who would otherwise be dealing with an extremely dangerous storm. And already people are being impacted. I mean, from the start, she impacted the Cabo Verde Islands as well with floods. So can't really say she's a fish storm of that, because obviously they and a lot of the Caribbean islands are feeling impacts of her, unfortunately, but that's better than having a landfalling hurricane of that magnitude and strength. And then, of course, the GFS also is in agreement with that. We're a little bit less over the Canadian Atlantic, and again, kind of a wider split between going a little bit more east or a little bit more west. But again, Bermuda being spared, which would be fabulous news for them. I believe, yes, okay, I already showed that. And I wanted to show you as we're talking about, um, you know, again, tropical weather and outlook. We are now officially in the peak of hurricane season, which I know a lot of us aren't happy about. So for the week of August 20th through the 26th, we do see a 40% chance of formation over there closer to the Cabo Verde Islands. But as you can see, they do have a 20% um, or less for a good chunk of that surrounding that area, and of course over there by the Leeward Islands and Puerto Rico. And then we'll see for the week of the 27th to September 2nd. There is not, at least right now, a 40% or 60% chance, but move definitely a little bit more north, and 120% chance or under for tropical cyclone formation within there. We'll see if that continues to change, but we do have that other area to watch out for. Of course, that's for this week, so we'll see what happens. But we are again in the peak of hurricane season. That's going to last until the middle of October. So don't be surprised if we are tracking again more storms in the coming weeks. As always, make sure that even if you are not going to be impacted by Erin, it's not a bad idea to go ahead and make sure that you are taking care of stuff that needs to be taken care of. Make sure you have all your important documents and papers in a waterproofed container, and an easy place for you to grab a hold of if you do have to evacuate. Check what you need to refill on your hurricane kit, as sometimes those things get pulled throughout the season for other reasons. Make sure that you do have enough battery packs. Now is the time to go ahead and buy them, because if you're in a hurricane watch or tropical storm watch, those things fly off the shelf along with bread and toilet paper. So you want to make sure that you have those ahead of time. Batteries for flashlights. Um, and then, of course, make sure that if you do want to have a generator on hand, that you do have the proper know-how to how to safely use it and safely connect it. And when in doubt, I always recommend to reach out to a electrician, licensed electrician, to help you with that. As I mentioned earlier, again, Turks and Caicos and Southeast Bahamas are in tropical storm warnings tonight. So stay safe. Let us know what you experience. And again, for them and then everyone else who is still currently going through Erin or could possibly feel the impacts of Erin, please make sure that you are following a source that you trust. You can't go wrong with the National Hurricane Center, I will have to say. That is where I get a lot of my information from, obviously, just because can't really beat them. They are very good at what they do, but also I'm more than happy to help chop that information up in a little bit more bite-sized pieces for you guys to follow along and understand a little bit better. And then, of course, you can continue to follow me on Facebook or YouTube. And I'm more than happy to provide more information for you guys. So stay safe. I will talk to you guys tomorrow.